Hello, this is How To Bob, and in this video I'm going to show you how to replace an exterior doorknob and a deadbolt. So for this door, since it has a window close by, I chose a double cylinder deadbolt so it'll have a key on the inside and the outside. So to get started, you'll see there's two screws on either side of the doorknob. I'm going to go ahead and remove each one of those screws. There's one on each side of the doorknob. Just using a regular Phillips screwdriver will do the trick. Once I get those off, the doorknob will come apart. Both pieces, the interior and the exterior piece, just pulls right out. And then I want to remove the latch assembly by removing the two screws on the edge of the door, and then that should pull straight out. Next I'm going to remove the deadbolt, and to do that I have to remove the two screws, and those are located behind the handle, so I had to lock the deadbolt to get to the two screws. There's one on each side, and again, once I remove each screw, half the deadbolt will come on the outside and the other half will come off on the inside. Then I can remove my latch assembly the same way I did for the doorknob. Just take out the two screws and it should slide right out. And I'm going to replace that with a new set of Schlag locks. Going from quick set to Schlag, it still shouldn't be a problem because the back sets are the same. Now you can see this latch assembly had two holes in it, so it'll fit either 2 3/8 or 2 3/4 back set. So either one will work for this latch. So I just simply screw the two screws into the latch assembly here. Now here is the handle. The hubbed part in my right hand will go on the outside, and they just slide together like this and sandwich the door in between the two, and the two screws will go on the inside here, and there's one on the bottom. So I'm going to fit this together in between the door, and I have to make sure that my lock is lined up so that the key will operate the lock. And I take my screws and put one in the top here and one in the bottom. Then I can take my Phillips screwdriver here and tighten both screws, top and the bottom one. I alternate back and forth just so that the doorknob doesn't get in a bind. Now the next thing I'm going to do is put a new strike plate on here. I got a nice new doorknob, and you can see this one's loose, so I might as well put a new strike plate on there. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the two screws, and you can see there's some washers underneath there that were used for spacers. I'm going to go ahead and remove those because the new one will fit just perfectly, and I just screw those in to the old holes and tighten them down. And you can see it closes real nice. So I'm going to move on to the deadbolt, and you can see it's marked with top, so I want to make sure that when I get it adjusted for my back set, which is done by twisting it, that top is always on the top when I put my latch assembly in. Now you can adjust this from 2 3/8 or 2 3/4, but you always want to make sure that the top is pointing up and that center from the hole is right where your lock is. So I'm going to twist it and make sure it's at 2 3/4, and I want to put the top up, and then I put it in, and I can check visually to make sure that the center is from there. So you can see the little tabs on the end. There's 4 of them. Those go in to the door, and they hold the cylinder, the outside, the exterior cylinder in place. Then I can take the interior cylinder and put that into place, and I want to make sure my lock tabs line up. And I take my screws. These are pretty lengthy screws here because it is a security lock here, and just put those through. And I'm going to use my Phillips screwdriver once again to tighten up both screws. Once I get these tightened, they'll be slightly recessed, and there is a small cap that goes into the tip of the screw You can see it right here. It's very small. And that goes into the tip of the screw, and then it needs to be tapped into place. And you want to use something soft to tap it in place. So I'm going to use the back of the screwdriver once I get it set up here and just gently tap it into place so it doesn't mar the surface. So my next step is to attach the latch to the door, the 2 screws on the end of the door, and that is it for the deadbolt. Now what I need to do is change the latch plate. So I'll take off the old one with the 2 screws that are holding it on. Now this one has a security latch that goes on first, and then a decorative plate that goes over top of the security latch, and you can see that it doesn't line up. So what I'm going to do is take a pencil, get it lined up where I want it to be, and I'm going to get a pencil and draw an outline around where I need this to be recessed. So then I'll take my utility knife and I will cut along my line that I just drew with my pencil, and that just gives me a clean edge when I come back in with the chisel. Once I get this all cut, I can come back in with my chisel and gently tap the wood, and it'll break away right where I cut it and give me a nice clean edge. And I'll just keep chiseling that down until my security plate will fit in there and the door will shut nice and tight. And you can see it's a good fit, and it looks like the door will shut. So I'm going to go ahead and run my screws in. These are very long screws. They go into the door frame for added security. So I'm going to use a drill to put these screws in. Now since the screw is a very thick and a long screw, I highly recommend using a drill bit and make yourself a pilot hole so you don't split out the door frame before you put the screws in. And then once I get my security plate in, I can go ahead and put my decorative plate in over top of that. And I just put the 2 screws in, and that kind of gives it a little extra security, and it looks a lot nicer. So now that I have my deadbolt in, I can go ahead and close the door, check my handle, make sure that that's locked. Seems to work out real well. It's locked now. Then I can check my deadbolt. Looks like it throws, and you want to make sure that throws all the way. And that's pretty much all there is to it. This is How To Bob. Thanks for watching.